Hello and welcome back to J.P.s Retro World. Last time I showed you the WCW Galoobs. So today, I thought I would take the time to show you the WWF HASBROS. That's right, the ones that I have, because my collection has expanded a little bit. It has expanded a little bit since the last time. So let's get right into these. So I'm going to start with the two tag teams that I have. And I'll start with these guys. The Rockers, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. These figures, not real strong poses. I mean, I probably like this one just a little bit better just because, it's it's okay. But I never really liked these jumpers. Never really liked them very much. I just never saw the point in them. And so, but this one is slightly better than this one, because this one you got to lift the arm up where, and it's, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, classic tag team, the Rockers. And then I got another classic WWF tag team. That is the Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch. So these figures are okay, I probably like this one a little bit better just because it's easier to work with. This one, it's okay. I mean, you can do the whoa thing that they always did, but it's all right. I actually, these got a lot of play when I was a kid. So okay, so now we get into individual ones, and I'm gonna show you one that's not a real strong figure. The pose isn't very good. And I didn't have this when I was a kid, but even if I did, it probably wouldn't have gotten a lot of play just because the pose isn't really very good. And I'm talking about the Superfly, Jimmy Snuka. So even though he wasn't really a puncher, he did a lot of chops, which the hand is open for a chop. But this one, he's doing the I love you thing, and then it's a jumper as well. So, because to me, I would rather use my hand and have him jump off the top rope than to actually push down on this and launch him. That's just me. That's just the way I play with professional wrestling action figures. I don't care about action moves, or I don't care about the things that shoot up or whatever. But yeah, this one is not really very good, but it's not the worst one yet. That one I'll probably save to last. And for those of you that have been on this channel for a while, you probably know which one I'm going to talk about. But anyway, Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Okay, then we go from a weak one to a very strong one, and that is Greg the Hammer Valentine. Didn't have it when I was a kid. I have it now, and I'm really happy about it because I love this figure. I always loved Greg the Hammer Valentine. He was never real flashy. But I think that was his whole gimmick, is the fact that he didn't really have a gimmick. That he was just a professional wrestler, and he did professional wrestling moves. And he didn't really have entrance music per se. He was managed by Jimmy Hart, and he did have these flashy, entrance ring robes, but that's about it. That's about all there was to Greg the Hammer Valentine, except for just being a really good in-ring wrestler. So, Greg the Hammer Valentine. And next, I'm going to show you somebody who was a former tag team partner of Greg the Hammer Valentine. And that is this guy. The Honky Tonk Man, also managed by Jimmy Hart. Honky Tonk Man claimed to be the greatest entertainer, greatest professional wrestler, the greatest intercontinental of all time. And I don't know, that's debatable, but anyway, no, I actually always really liked this figure. I like the pose, I like the stance, I like the way that it moves around. I never cared about this little thing here, but nevertheless, now when you bought this figure new, it came with a guitar, which I don't have the guitar, but there it is. The Honky Tonk Man. And some people comment that they didn't like this figure just because he's in his entrance gear. But I didn't really care about that. I usually just pretend that this was just like a spandex ring suit that he could wrestle in. That was just me. I just, So then we come to the Big Boss Man. This is the first Big Boss Man figure. It's pretty good. The head's a little small, and the pose is workable. It's doable. But the second Boss Man that they came out with, I think, a lot better. But nevertheless, originally it came with a nightstick that you could bash guys with it. So, Big Boss Man. And now we come to a figure that I liked, even though it's nothing real fancy or flashy about it, but Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Oh! I always liked Hacksaw. I always liked this figure. I don't have the 2x4 that came with it. I actually have two of these. Neither one of them have the 2x4, but that's because most of these figures I've bought used, actually all of these figures I've bought used online, so none of them have the accessories. So anyway, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, cool figure. I like it. And then we come to another Hasbro, obviously, because that's what we're doing. And that's this guy. Classic Hasbro figure, Jake the Snake Roberts. He's got this arm thing you can push back, and it kind of dislocates your shoulder then. It's supposed to launch forward for like a... But like I said, I didn't like those. I didn't use them ever. Anyway, great figure, great pose. Like it. Jake the Snake Roberts. And then we move right along with Typhoon, also known as Tugboat, also known as the Shockmaster, but his friends and family just call him Fred Ottman. So this is his figure. It's Typhoon, one half of the Natural Disasters. I don't have his tag team partner Earthquake. That is on my list for top guys that I like to get, but yeah. Typhoon, good figure. Unlike most Hasbro, the legs move back and forth. So that was pretty cool, but Typhoon. And then we come to guy that was fond of letting everybody know that everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. That's right, the $1 Million Man. I've met this guy. I've interviewed this guy, or I've code interviewed him. There's actually a DVD out there that I'm on it. I'm on the cover or the back of the cover, and I got to have dinner with him the night before, where he told wrestling stories, and it was one of the highlights of my life. This guy was like one of the biggest wrestlers ever in the WWF during my time, and so $1 Million Man, I love him. I love this figure. This is actually the second of 3 figures that Hasbro came out with. The first one was pretty good. This is probably the one I like the best. Actually, the third one's the one I like the best, and then this one, and then the first one. But the first one is still pretty good. Basically, all 3 of these figures were pretty good. But anyway, this is the $1 Million Man. Normally, he came with a $1 Million belt. I don't have it, but that's alright. And then we come to Crush. Okay. I never really cared for Crush. And I'm sorry if you're a Crush fan. And I'm sure the guy himself, I'm sure he was a good guy behind the scenes, but I just didn't care for his wrestling style. I didn't care for his interviews. I thought his interviews were very kind of simplistic. And just, I don't know. There was just something about him that I just didn't care for. But anyway, this is a good figure. I like the figure. And this guy would have gotten a lot of play when I was a kid. Just because the figure's cool. And actually, the Mr. Perfect figure, it's got the same body. And I use Mr. Perfect a lot. So this too would have gotten a lot of play. I believe also Scott Steiner also used this as pose. And Adam Bomb. So anyway, that's Crush. And then we come to a classic figure from the very first series of Hasbros, and that is this guy, Rowdy Roddy Piper. Another guy which I've met, and good guy behind the scenes. Now, some people didn't really think much of him as a wrestler. And to be fair, he did do just a lot of brawly, punchy moves. He didn't really wrestle a whole lot. But WrestleMania 8, when he wrestled Bret Hart, that proved that he could, in fact, wrestle. And I think his early days in the NWA, he would have matches with Ric Flair where he would actually do a lot of actual wrestling moves. But then when he came to the WWF, he was more of a character. So anyway, but I like Rowdy. I like Roddy Piper, so Roddy Piper. Good figure. And now we come to Sergeant Slaughter. This is a pretty good figure. I didn't have it when I was a kid, and I was excited when I actually got this figure because this is one of the ones when I was a kid that I really, really, really wanted. But yeah, Sergeant Slaughter, cool figure. A little disappointing that his hat does not come off. It's just stuck to his head, but I mean, whatever, that's nitpicky. But anyway, solid figure, good pose, Overall, I give it a thumbs up. Sergeant Slaughter. And now we come to probably the newest member of my Hasbro collection, and that is the British Bulldog, Davy Boy Smith. Now, I like the trunks or the tights that he's wearing. He's got the British flag on the back, and he's got the British flag knee pads, and the boots are red and blue and stuff. Now, the pose itself is one, like I said, when I was a kid, I probably would not have bought this one just because of the pose. But honestly, if somebody had given this to me, I still would have used it and played with it and had fun. Because even though I like at least one fist so you can punch, but it's called using your imagination. I know that. And, that's when, you could do forearm shots to the back or, chops to the chest. Chops to the chest. Big body slams, There's still a lot you could do with these figures. But like I said, I'm all about the pose. And I like better when there's at least one fist so you can punch. But anyway, British Bulldog Davy Boy Smith. Pretty cool. Glad I have this. And now I'm going to show you, because I've got two of the same guy, but it's only natural that I would have. Here's Hulk Hogan #1. This is the second newest figure of my collection. It's not new, but it's new to me. But anyway, this is a Hulk Hogan #1. This is the first Hulk Hogan figure that Hasbro came out with. Again, open-handed pose, but I had this one, so I played with this one a lot because big Hulk Hogan fan. So anyway, yeah, there it is. Hulk Hogan #1. Pretty good. But even better was this one. Hulk Hogan #3. Now, I don't have Hulk Hogan #2 or 4, but Hulk Hogan #2 was one of those really terrible, weak ones I didn't like because it was like this. And you pull the arms together, but then they just go, it's supposed to be like a bear hug type thing, and I didn't like it. I thought it was stupid, but this one was cool. For the longest time, I thought this one was #2, where somebody had just glued the arms open. But no, this is a different one. The action was supposed to be like this, or, yeah, I think it's supposed to be that. But anyway, like I said, I didn't use them. I know I keep beating that dead horse, but that's just me. Anyway, so yeah, Hulk Hogan #3. This is probably my favorite of all the Hulk Hogan figures. #4 is probably the next favorite. And then #1, and then #2. But anyway, Hulk Hogan #3. Okay, here we go. So, this next figure is awful. This is one of 3 figures that they use the same body style, the same pose, and it's just terrible. No matter what figure it was just awful. And I'm talking, of course, about, unfortunately, this is Ric Flair. This is the figure that they came out with for Ric Flair. It's awful. It's terrible. And I don't know what Hasbro was thinking when they came up with this style of figure. It's just not very good. There's nothing you can do with this figure. I've actually tried having matches with this figure. Because I thought, well, maybe I'm just being dramatic. Maybe I'm being ridiculous. Maybe you can. But no. I tried. I mean, this arm here gets in the way, and it's just, you can't. What's his face? It's just it's stupid. And this figure is not very good at all. I'm glad that I have it for collector's sake, but this would have gotten zero play when I was a kid because, hold on a second, this is Ric Flair. This is not Ric Flair. This is Ric Flair. This I might have used as the Red Rooster, but can't use it. None you. So they also use this body style for Ravishing Rick Rude and the 1-2-3 Kid. And I feel sorry for Rick Rude because he never really got a decent action figure. At least not until recently. But anyway, that is going to do it for my HASBROS. Obviously, hopefully, in the future I plan to get more HASBROS. But until that time, I'll have to make do with those. But I've also got the Galoobs. And next time, I'm going to talk about the Mattel Retros. Because I've also gotten some more of those since last time. So, anyway, that's going to do it for this video. So, if you are new here, go feel free. Easy for me to say. Feel free to like the video. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to have a lot of fun here. We're going to be talking about movies and TV shows and, you know, life in the 80s and probably life in the 90s as well. And I will see you next time.